Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled is actor Alan Blumenfeld and actor Tom Troupe. Actor Alan Blumenfeld was born and raised in Long Island, New York. He went to Sarah Lawrence College and was in the first MFA class at the American Conservatory Theater. Alan's been on Broadway. He's appeared in theater up and down the coast of California, up into Seattle. He's been a series regular. He's played hundreds of guest roles on TV. And you'll remember Alan Blumenfeld in Barry Levinson's Tin
Men.
Thank you, Tin Man, as well as many other films like K-9, War Games, and a couple of Flintstone movies. You've been very busy.
I have been very busy, very lucky.
How did you get to Broadway and Laughter on the 23rd Floor?
Oh, I auditioned for it first year. Jay Binder, who was the casting director, it was cast by several people, but Jay is the one who had me here, and then I flew to New York and read for Neil Simon and Jerry Zaks, and I was cast there. So I had to relocate, which was really interesting.
So you were living here,
right.
You came out from New York, you were living here,
right.
doing TV, films,
right,
etc.
Exactly.
And then you end up on Broadway. Were
right.
you shocked?
Well, I was shocked. I was shocked only because I thought growing up on Long Island that's what I would do is Broadway. I thought I would just be a Broadway stage actor. And I studied in San Francisco at the ACT, and I did regional repertory theater, but then I came to LA, film and television. It was a sort of a circuitous way to get back to New York. But it was great. I mean, it's a wonderful. But
you've played really heavy drama roles, and Laughter was not a drama role, was it?
No, it's a pure comedy. But I've been pretty lucky in terms of the variety of stuff that I've done. Through most of the 1980s, I did mostly half-hour situation comedy. Then through the 90s, I did mainly hour dramas.
Oh,
so it's been really interesting. Yeah, it's been really fun.
But how are you funny? How do you get to be funny? Is it timing?
I think so. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I do think there's sort of an inherent sense of rhythm and timing with comedy that can't be taught, that people have to feel. But also some of it's the material. I mean, Neil Simon's material, the comedy is in the timing of the language.
And how long were you on Broadway?
I understudied originally, and then I took over a role. I understudied Nathan Lane. I performed his role about 40 times. I understudied Ron Orbach's role. I did that about 40, then I took over for 2 months, and then I did the national tour.
That's so
great. It was great. It was really great.
Yeah, I mean, those are really pros.
Oh my God. Yeah, I learned so much from Nathan in terms of comedy and timing, in terms of rhythm, inherent, innate comic timing. I mean, Nathan Lane is a genius.
But the other thing that then I find so interesting is you've done a lot of Shakespeare.
Right.
On stage, a lot of Shakespeare.
Well, I went out of my way to seek out. I mean, I was trained to do stage is what I thought I would always do, and I've sought out stage work here. And for the last 18 years, I've been lucky. I work up in Topanga Canyon at the Theatricum Botanicum. And so Ellen Geer, who I adore, she's been very kind. I've done...
That's a great little theater.
It's 500-seat outdoor amphitheater. I mean, it's an extraordinary place, especially for kids, but for adults. It's a magnificent place to do Shakespeare. And I've done...
That's where you've done it?
Oh, yeah. I've done 30, 40, 50 plays out there. I mean, it's great.
Well, did you study that at the ACT?
Right, exactly.
Oh, you did?
I mean, ACT, they had a stuff on style. We had a whole year just on style. Started with naturalism, and then a whole year just on style. And then Shakespeare is just interesting. It's very well written.
When Sarah Lawrence had just shifted over, I guess, to coeducational.
I was the third year of men on campus.
Were you?
There were, first year there were 3 men, who were locked in the basement of the president's house. The second year there were 40 men. My year there were 120 men and 850, 860 women. But it's still not 50-50.
It's still not. But did you study acting there?
I did. I mean, actually there were 2 theater departments at such a small school. Will Leach and John Braswell, who worked at La Mama Company,
Braswell,
ETC, yeah. They're all dead. Julie Bavasso taught there. Yeah, I mean, it was really an amazing.
So they had a good theater department.
Spectacular, absolutely.
I see.
It was really amazing.
So the other thing that I was interested in, so you're at the ACT and you're studying Shakespeare, and you're on the stage at the San Francisco Opera.
Yeah, that was amazing. And that was weird because I was doing actually a Wild West version of Taming of the Shrew in the summer in between my first and second year at ACT, or second and third year at ACT. And a friend of mine said, oh, they're having tryouts at the opera. And it fit in that I could do both the show, I was both the Taming of the Shrew and the opera at the same time. But it was a speaking role. I played Lilius Postia.
I was going to say, did you sing?
I cannot like that. It was Teresa Berganza and Placido Domingo, directed by Jean-Pierre Ponel. And, but I was also in a production that Carol Van Ness's debut performance in La Clemenza de Tito, which we did actually at the Curran Theater, which was also an amazing, because that has, 2 parallel, they have the opera going on and the stage play at the same time. So
that's
we were all,
why Carol Van Ness was in that?
Correct, yeah. And it was her first, she had just graduated from opera school or what, I mean, that's probably, I don't mean to be, I mean, I don't know what they called it, but it was her debut performance, and she's become an enormous star,
but
a magnificent voice.
So lucky for you, but so lucky for them. And
it was great. It was so cool. I mean, and the San Francisco Opera, where the curtain went up and there are 3 balconies. I
love that.
And there's a 120-piece orchestra. Kurt Adler's last season, he was still alive. I mean, it was an amazing, overwhelming experience.
Those are things that are real.
Oh my God, I love that.
Those are the learning experiences.
Oh, yeah.
So when you've done a lot of TV too. Then you came back down to LA. You've done a lot of TV. What kind of characters do you usually play?
Well, I've been pretty lucky. I mean, I've done a lot of blue collar kind of, delivery guys, and I've also done a lot of lawyers and judges and doctors. And I played a judge on Philly, which was the Kim Delaney show just recently. I was a regular on Brooklyn Bridge. I played Uncle Willie, so that was kind of like upscale. I've done both suit and tie roles and kind of blue collar roles, and that's been really good. I like that.
When you're doing TV, and you have a stage gig, can you do them both? I mean, does it work?
You can. It depends. I mean, some TV schedules will say, okay, we'll have you out in time, but sometimes they say, we can't guarantee it. I mean, I'm doing a play now. I'm doing Comfortable Truth at the Lee Strasberg Theater. We open, right? But I mean, we play Saturdays, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'm going to do a TV show. So it's possible that I'll be filming Thursday and Friday, and if it goes over, my understudy will have to go on.
Is that what happens?
Yeah.
I mean, I wondered what happened.
It's complicated. I mean, sometimes, I won't take a job in the theater unless there's an understudy, because my obligation to the company is too much. I don't want to leave everyone high and dry. And so I try to make that clear. Ellen Gear up in the Theatricum is very clear about that. And Mark Kemble at the Comfortable Truth has also been very kind to say everyone will have a cover, so that he's guaranteed that there's someone who can go on for you.
That's at the Strasberg Theater.
Correct,
and
amazing.
I want to talk about that, but just on the same subject of film, because you do a lot of film too.
Yes.
But are they comedies? Have they been comedies?
Well, Tin Men was a character-driven comedy. It wasn't like, but I did, K-9, which was a comedy.
That's what I thought. And
Flintstones, which was a total farce. I did Arnold Schwarzenegger. I worked on Jingle All the Way with him, and that was a big farce, full-out, comedy.
How do they change your look on these things?
Not a lot.
Well, you look different right now with me than on the stage with the Comfortable Truth.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, you have glasses on.
I have glasses and
suit, tie.
Suit and tie changes it a lot. Although, you know, I grow a beard and I shave my beard.
Oh,
and
will you shave it?
I will sometimes, and I'll have a full beard sometimes. And, you know, my wife can never tell the difference. I'll say, I shaved. She says, oh, yeah, I didn't notice.
Oh, but because
so
she's
she
just,
can't tell.
you're in
so she's seeing
character.
it. Doesn't even. But it does change a lot. I mean, this has changed my look a lot for TV, and I've gotten more sort of judge roles and ambassador roles and sort of whatever.
What about hair?
Hair, I wish I had more hair, but
Can
I
you
have
put hair on?
I would like to put hair on. I go to barbershops and collect the hair and glue it on top.
Spray it on?
You know, in the theater, they wear wigs all the time.
That's what I meant.
And I've done that. But film and theater, they rarely, film and television, I mean, film and television, they rarely think of it. They don't, they think of just what they see.
What they see.
Yeah, it's too
Well,
bad.
you're on stage. You're playing a psychiatrist
Correct.
in A Comfortable Truth, which is written by and directed by Mark Kemble.
Correct.
A priest in his
it's a boy
story
who,
of a priest.
a boy and his priest.
A boy and his priest.
It's a boy who accuses a priest of having molested him. And I'm hired by the church as a psychiatrist to treat the boy, his parents, and the priest. So it's 1974 is when it's set. It's between 63 and 74. It goes back and forth. It's very surrealistic. It's a very interesting, powerful piece of theater.
He moves. He
Oh my
moves the
God.
time. Mark Kemble is brilliant
I
in
think
the
he's
way
brilliant.
he moves the time. It's like the backstage is coming forward.
Exactly.
And isn't it strange?
It's magnificent. Well, the set is very surrealistic. It's like a bombed-out church or a church in a dream sort of falling apart.
And that's Juan Carlos Malpelli.
Right, who's magnificent.
He's a really good stage
He's brilliant.
set
It's
director.
so creative and it's so not on the nose. It's very sort of suggested. It's really quite brilliant.
And you can move within it. I mean, it makes you move, and you can feel.
Very much so. It's
How
a
do you
very
feel
deep
on
stage.
Yeah. How do you feel? Are you comfortable in that role?
Oh, well, yes. I mean, I'm Jewish, and I'm playing a Catholic, and my mother's upset. No, it's complicated. It's the most complicated play I've ever done because the subject is so intense, and it's so unfortunately timely because of all of the allegations and lawsuits against the church now. It's not yet fun. It demands an enormous amount of concentration doing the play.
And you're like the center.
I am,
You
yes.
are like in
I
every
never
scene,
leave.
aren't you?
There's 2 scenes that I'm not in.
Is that
But
right?
I have a lot of lines. I talk all the time. It's an amazingly interesting role. I mean, because I'm sort of both trying to, I use hypnotherapy. I put
Yeah.
people under hypnosis. And I'm trying to draw out memories, and I'm also trying to suggest and provoke and incite memory. It's quite delicate.
Provoke, but also putting ideas in their mind
I
in a
am.
way too. I noticed.
Well, I'm trying to come to a truth which is comfortable for everyone involved.
That's the
and
idea.
in some ways, the play is about denial and about, you know, the things in life that we don't really fully deal with and integrate, but we just leave that and let's just try to be comfortable with this.
And let's just go on with our family life.
Correct, and sort of make
That's
believe
the
it's not
comfortable
happening.
truth.
Correct. It's trying to, and I think we all do that in life. There's stuff that we don't integrate necessarily,
Well,
or
sometimes it moves things along, you know,
That's
I
right.
mean, it lets your life go on,
Correct.
unless it's so deep, and I think
Right.
on stage you really got to the depth.
right. Well, this kid has suffered an enormous trauma because he was raped by this priest, and I don't believe him. I think he's making it up.
Right.
I don't think that takes anything away from the play for people to know that because it's so much not. It's about how people deal with these deeply felt traumatic experiences. I mean, I have friends who've lost children. You know, God forbid you live through a tragedy where death of a parent, death of a spouse, death of a child, and these are things that you can't dwell in. You have to grieve, but you have to move on. So you have to
Yeah.
find some comfortable balance.
And so there you were doing it. Oh, it's high drama.
It's high drama.
It's a
well,
great
the
play.
language was very, not Shakespearean, but very poetic. The
Yes.
language is very lyrical.
Very. And I'm so glad you took time off the stage
Oh.
today and came to see
Surprise,
us.
I loved it. It was great. I appreciate
Thank
it
you,
a lot.
Alan Blumenfeld. And don't go away because we'll be back with another actor, Tom Troupe. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Actor Tom Troupe was born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri. After attending Catholic schools, He must have felt at home playing the Apostle James in Roland Lee's film, The Big Fisherman, and on Tony Danza's parish priest on the TV series, Who's the Boss? Tom debuted on Broadway in The Diary of Anne Frank, was back on Broadway again with Mia Farrow in romantic comedy, and again with Julie Harris in The Gin Game. Tom's acted and directed locally and plays nationally and in Australia. He's played opposite a melange of gorgeous women, including his wife, Carol Cook, and he got the Ovation Award with Carol, his wife, in The Lion in Winter. Is it any different being on stage with your wife?
It's easier
Is
because
it?
you know so much about each other that you don't have to use any make-believe. It's there.
Is that so? It works that way.
It really does.
What about comedy? You were in Mary Hartman.
Yes.
Was that a comedy role?
It was. I played the psychologist who, they would come to me for problems, and I would say, you know, there's nothing you could tell me that will shock me, so just please tell me. And they'd say something terrible, and I'd say, that is the ugliest thing I have ever.
Was it all scripted? Or
Yeah.
was it scripted?
Yeah, Oliver Haley scripted that. I mean, it was a brilliant character, and I loved that show. That show was a little ahead of its time, don't you
But that
think?
was almost priestly too, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like these roles kind of like followed you around.
Yeah.
When you were with Barbara Rush and Betsy Palmer,
Same time next year, and I did Love Letters with Betsy.
you did Love Letters a lot.
A lot, yeah, with Barbara and with Betsy. Carol and I have never done it, and we've been asked to do it. We should do it sometime.
Yeah. Do you direct yourself when you do Love Letters?
No. We have, well, now let's see, did we or not? With Love Letters, no, we had directors for that, yeah.
You also worked with Angela Lansbury in Murder, She Wrote.
Murder, She Wrote, yes.
Are you very friendly? I mean,
No, Carol did more. Carol knows her better than I do. Carol did several of those. I just did one.
Uh-huh.
I loved her. I mean, I love her.
But is there a certain thing that they come after you other than the priest?
Not really. I haven't. Now in the last few years, I've been concentrating in the theater. That's all I want to do, Joan. And
you?
I feel so blessed.
Do you? You really love it?
That's all I want to do.
It's not frightening to go out there on that stage
Well,
every
there's
night?
a moment, you know. There's a moment that's scary, but it's what I've always wanted to do. I've been a stage actor for many years, and it's what I feel comfortable doing.
I think you answered the question when I say, what's the easiest medium from TV to film?
I don't even think there's a contest. I mean, it's so much. I feel so much more comfortable in the theater.
Well, when we talk about the theater, and I know you've directed a lot, is that included?
It
Does
is.
directing
yes,
come?
I think it is. I think you have to be an actor in order to direct. Don Eitner, who's my director for Diary of a Madman, is a brilliant director, but he started as an actor. You know.
Let's talk about that. What's his name? Don
Eitner.
Eitner.
Mm-hmm.
You've been doing, it's an interpretation of Gogol's Diary of a Madman, which was written when, in the 1800s?
Yes, in the 1800s. We started it in 1964 at Paul Kent's Melrose Theater.
And you've been playing it every 10 years. Is there something about a 10-year span?
Not necessarily. We've done it at different times during those 10 years, but we wanted to do it this decade, so we could say we've done it for 5 decades. And I think in many ways it's richer. My being older, we had to change some of the.
I was going to say, in the 60s, you were a lot different.
Well, and he was obsessed with a young girl now I'm obsessed.
Well,
I was so thrilled to see you there the other night.
With the character, I was going to say, you play all these opposite all these wonderful women, and now your last character is this funny person.
Yes.
Is it a woman?
Yeah. Yes.
Your puppet.
Oh, the puppet is
puppet.
The puppet is a boy.
The puppet is a boy.
But the woman I'm obsessed with in the play is an older woman.
Oh, I see. So
we changed that.
In the beginning, it was a
younger
Oh,
woman.
because I wondered, and of course, did you? You've probably stayed the same size. When I was looking at the costumes,
Those are you know, some of those are the original costumes.
I was going to ask about that. They're tattered.
Tattered and very old, and some of them are very original from the 60s.
And they fit you so well, and I thought, I wonder if these are part of the original.
Some of them are, yeah.
So, tell us the story.
It's about a lowly clerk, and we purposely made it sort of mid-1800s, and not pinned it down to Russia, but you have feelings European.
I felt like it was English.
Yeah.
I
Well,
felt
that's
like
good.
it was
But it's
England.
a man who is a lowly clerk and would like to be something else, and it's timely because it's like anybody today who's frustrated about not having what they really want, and because of it, he hallucinates and becomes insane.
How much time does it cover? Would you
This
say?
particular would not cover more than maybe the last 6 months of his life.
Is that right? So, but was he slowly going mad?
Oh yes, all the way through.
Oh, so this just gets to the last
The
part.
sort of capsule.
And how do you change yourself? Because you become, I mean, I see the stage get sloppier
Messier
and
and
dirtier.
messier. Well, and his insanity that happens, and everything goes to pieces in his life.
And the interesting thing is, it's a one-person play.
Yes.
Except for your hand puppet,
Mm-hmm.
and yet your character is confronting so many people. It feels like there's other people on
Well,
stage
I think
with
it
you.
also helps to be able to use the audience.
Oh, you address
Yeah,
the
we
audience.
originally had not planned to do that, but Don came up with the idea that the audience becomes my alter ego, and it's much easier to put the focus there.
Now, I was going to ask you that too, because you talk to the audience. Do they ever talk back to you?
Well, it's interesting. Sometimes they do, and I remember once in Texas in the 70s when we were doing it, I have a speech where I asked the audience to, I talked to them and said, please put my royal garb
Oh,
on,
yes, you put your
and the
cape
line
on.
is attend to me. And about 5 times, I've done this many, many times, someone has come up from the audience to do that.
They come up and help you
Yeah.
put your robe on?
It's happened about 5 times.
Really?
And it's
what do you do?
fascinating. I let them do it, and then I dismiss them.
And then that makes you take that
Yeah.
that attitude
Yeah,
too.
becoming the king.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable when it happened.
Oh, that's very
Yeah.
funny. Because so much it is, I guess, an interchange, but I always kept feeling like it was an interchange with you. I mean, you talk to the woman upstairs,
Yeah.
you talk to people you talk about the people at work.
That's right.
And it just
They're
seems
very
like there's-
specific to me. I think in acting, as far as acting is concerned, they have to be specific, and I have very specific people in mind.
Has it gotten easier over the 40 years, or is this 50 years?
It's 50 years. I think, I trust it more, so I guess I could say it's easy. It's physically much more difficult because I throw myself around the stage. I'm black and blue.
I can imagine, you
And,
do.
Yeah, it's tough being this old doing it.
We're going to have to start riding it when you're in a wheelchair.
Exactly.
Rewrite.
Exactly.
But it's interesting how the way it shows you're trapped.
Yes, he is trapped. And it's a human trap. It happens to so many people on so many different levels. It's a true study in schizophrenia.
It's really interesting. Now, you've played it, you started here in Melrose, and you've ended up at the Odyssey
Right.
after 50 years.
Yes,
5
I played
years
it all
in-
over the place. I played it at UCLA. I played it at Pasadena Playhouse. I've played it in Toronto. I played it in Oregon. Many times in Texas. So I've done it all over.
What are the audiences like? Are they different?
No, not really. They're extremely important to me because I use them and I see them.
Oh, right.
And we communicate with it. It's in a unique situation. I remember once in Hollywood we were playing it, and we did it in 2 acts in those days. And intermission, some man who'd been drinking a lot came into the theater, fell asleep at intermission, and so through the second act he was snoring through the entire second act. So I had to deal with that.
You just listen to him.
I had to.
You don't
deal with it.
address him.
Well, I had to because the
Oh, you
audience was
did?
aware of it, so it really worked. It was kind of fun.
So does your director come every night?
He does, bless him.
He does.
He's extraordinary.
How could you do that? Could you direct yourself in something like this?
Well, I wouldn't, no. I needed him desperately because we wrote it together, too.
Yeah, you've been together on this
A long
project,
time,
right?
since 1960.
Does he act in between?
No, he's strictly a director now, and a brilliant one. He had his own theater for many years in Hollywood.
What kind of plays would you pick? Would you be if you're going on stage again, what would you pick? Would you go back to like Diary of Anne Frank?
No, I
something
love
like that?
I love comedy now.
Oh, you do?
know, and I would love to do most. I've been doing, I did toured for years with Same Time Next Year, and I love comedy. It's harder, but I think it's very rewarding.
And does that depend on your director too, to get you?
Yeah, I really
on-
believe
on-
that any actor who says the director's not important, it's not true. The director's extremely. But in my career, and I've done hundreds of plays, I can count on my right hand the number of great directors.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, what happens then if you're acting and you don't feel like that director's
Well, then
doing
you
the
pray
right
that
thing?
he doesn't say anything to you, because you can kind of, survive without that if he's not good.
So you just
Well,
come
you have
to
to-
work.
you have to-
you come to work.
You have to rely on your and I had the good fortune to have studied with Uta Hagen, who passed away recently, and she was a great teacher, and I rely on what I learned from her.
You don't continue to take classes though now.
No, I would if I found somebody like Uta again.
Oh, you would.
Oh, in a minute.
Do you sing, dance?
No, I don't sing.
You sing or dance?
I did play the in the Wizard of Oz. I played the Tin Man for
Did you?
a long tour, but that was different. I could sing if I only had a brain or a heart or whatever.
Yeah.
What did he need?
He didn't. He needed a brain,
That was,
didn't he?
I guess. I think I found
Who
it.
needed the heart? The lion.
Yeah, the
Did he?
lion. I guess so.
I don't know.
forgot.
You were in it. I wasn't.
And my dog, my real
Ray
dog.
Bolger, I remember it because he used to go to Good Shepherd.
Oh,
I
that's
used to see him at church all the time. And then I was going, there he is, Ray Bolger. Is he dancing down the aisle?
I had a real dog who played Toto on my
Oh, you
tour,
did?
and all they'd do was raise their hand to me, and he would bark like crazy. So
Oh, so that was great. You were protected, right?
Right.
You're Toto.
Right.
Well, we're gonna just go to the Odyssey and see it because it's running for a long time, and
About
I think
8 weeks,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think you can just continue to do it all year.
Oh yeah,
Why don't you do it all year?
I'd love to. I can't think of anything I'd like better. I've got an offer to do it in Oklahoma and in Florida, so I think I'll be doing it there. But
Oh, that's great.
but-
Because this is the millennium. This is the millennium year for you.
this
or
would be the
what
big
is
five.
it?
Because when we first started doing, there were very few one-man shows in those days. Hal Holbrook was doing his, but very few. Now there are hundreds. But
I love one-man shows.
Yeah.
And as I say, yours didn't seem like one man because you had so many characters
Yeah.
and it was like they were sitting there with you.
well, I loved it that you were there, Joan.
and I love
really
that
did.
you came to the show today and
My
to
pleasure.
sit with me today.
My pleasure.
So thank you all for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles. Thanks to Tom Troupe and thanks to Alan Blumenfeld for being with us today. And keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles, 90017. And we'll see you next time on the Joan Quinn Profiles.